I really liked the physical class. In the beginning, she had like agenda, and she went through the agenda, and she was checking with students that if they understand, they were reading it. I liked the topic that they had, researching different countries, and I can say that she was using all the 21st century skills, which I really liked, like collaborating, communicating, technology in class, and she could even monitor what they are doing. She could gather the data to use in the next class. I like the way she was giving examples how to research in class, and she was even like showing them, sharing the visually how they need to do what they need to do. It was so interactive. I like the way they are using iPad. We don't have in our school. I was so jealous about it actually. And I like the way she used like demonstrating. She was called KWL method, so demonstrating if they understand. She was finding the links between the instructions. That was really good. And what I liked about her, that she had differentiation for EL students. That was really good, like food and transport vocabulary. Students were happy that, yeah, now something that we understand how to do. I like the way she was responding to the circumstances. She was changing the activity based on the circumstances, and then calling back students to explain them the instructions once again, because some students, they were not being active. And she was very encouraging. I like the way she did pre-assessment at the end for the next class, that what students need to take with them and bring with them. Students they were so friendly. I mean, she was coming to the tables to check with students and like, okay, what are you doing? Giving ideas how to research, what to do, and she could see it on the screen, on her screen, and she was giving the points, celebrating the successes. That's what I liked it. What I would give a suggestion, I would put the time on the screen so that kids will know how many minutes they have for research time. Yeah, for the second one, I saw she did a little like timer on for the second activity, and I would give the group responsibilities on the screen so they will know that what they are doing, instead of saying that, okay, 2 of you will research and then others will talk. And I would write down the instructions on the board. For the second activity, she didn't do it, and I was like, okay, kids were a bit like, okay, what are we doing? Yeah, that's it. Actually, I really liked her. Seems like she's a professional teacher.
Yeah, I agree. I think she was a good teacher. Yeah, just a couple of notes. I think I agree with everything you said. I think the timing, putting the timing and the expectations on the board, I think would have been good. But other than that, yeah, I thought she did a great job. My notes were like she introduced the assignment well. She built kind of some like anticipation, like, you know, the kids were excited, and she actually knew that she made the point that she's like, oh, I knew you guys would like this, and it shows that she actually knows her students well enough to know that they would like really like the assignment. She reads the I can statements along with that, or has them like read along with them. So she's like, again, building like expectations and all of that. She makes sure the students know exactly what a post-it note is, so they understand exactly what the assignment is. She has the students talk with a partner, so that like just to make sure that there's clarity, that they understand, which is actually really good for English language learners and everything. And then I thought it was really interesting that she said that was the writing on the post-it notes was the formal assessment. And that's a very like low stress way to assess your students, which I thought was interesting, because usually assessment is like an official, like, all right, we're sitting down, we're having an exam, we're having a test right now. So I thought that it was kind of like, hey, I'm assessing you, but you almost like don't even realize it. Which definitely, like, because I know some kids like will do really well in group work, but then you sit and you put an exam in front of them, and they're like, oh my gosh, like I don't know what to do. So I thought it was really good that she assessed them, yeah, like I said, in a low stress environment. And then, yeah, I thought it was really good that she responded to the changing circumstances of the classroom. The only bad part about that, or maybe critique that I would have of that, is she gave an assignment and then she changed it, and some of the kids like, oh, but I wanted to do that. And it's like, you kind of like, you know, like I said at the beginning, she built anticipation, and then she did it again. The kids were like excited, and they're like, oh wait, I'm going to move you to this one instead. And so I think that can kind of create maybe some disappointment, but at the same time, like, I mean, you got to, again, play, you know, lead the students where you think you should. So, but yeah, and then she did, as you said, she gave them she differentiated by giving the more capable students the more difficult vocabulary, and then the less capable students, she gave them stuff with more like pictures and everything. So, and then she thought about the future lesson. She said that at the end. So yeah, overall, I thought it was really good. That other than what you said about the timing and listing the expectations, I thought she did a really good job.
Yeah. So, yeah. I agree. The point that you mentioned, that like changing activities, you're 100% right. I was also like, huh, what happened now?
Yeah.
You had like instructions on the written, and they could like, oh, okay, I did this, put tick. Yeah, overall, you're right. They were all good communicating with teacher, less teacher talk time and more student talk time. So when I was expecting actually more after first video, because first video was really good for me. And the second one, yes, she had an agenda in the beginning. She had like I really liked in the beginning, she gave time for students to draw, so they will not be anxious, not stressed. Okay, they're relaxed, communicating with teacher. So they have enough time to communicate with teacher and like doodle around there. And I like the way she had a pop quiz, and she had like, she was giving a like, you can ask for help if you don't know the answer, and you can choose who can answer. I really like that one. So others are feeling responsible that, okay, anyone can ask them too. I wouldn't use Chinese. I understand that they are second language learners, but I wouldn't use Chinese on the board. I would use the like pictures enough to explain the word. And then I like the way like questioning their knowledge, if they know it was word grammar, it was there. And I like the way she mentioned that she's using chat box. In the beginning, kids were not communicating with teacher, but at the end they started to collaborate, and it seems like more to participating. What I would like to see there, behavioral management. I couldn't see the behavioral management, like what students can do, can't do, if they do, what they will get, like point or reward, something. Even though she had agenda, but I felt like it's a bit messy. Instructions are not that clear. Yeah, I would like to see more student talk time rather than teacher talk time and explaining more. So if she had it, it would be enough. As teacher said in our class, that you are planning, that's your job is done there. So you just give them and they start to do it. Yeah, clear instructions, student talk time, behavior management system. I do, you do, we do activities. I couldn't see that. Higher order thinking, scaffolding, and level of questioning, like this kind of stuff. I couldn't see it. But it seems like they like their teacher. I couldn't see too much 21st century skills, timing, like we learned last class. I couldn't see these ones. Yeah, that's it actually. I would like to see these points.
I agree with everything. I didn't see many of the 21st century skills used. There were a few things I did like. I thought it was good. She gave the students time at the beginning of class to distress, which I think is good, especially during like lockdowns and that kind of thing. But then it wasn't just like only giving them time to distress. Like she was taking attendance, she was getting their names right, make sure their microphones and cameras were on. So it was like time for the students, but then it was also time for the teacher to do like housekeeping things, which I think is good, because it's not just wasted time or only time for the kids to de-stress. I do think, like you mentioned, the pop quiz, it is fun to use to kind of engage the students, especially when they're online, because it's so easy for them to just be like bored or whatever. So she showed them the big question, which I think is good, so that the kids know exactly like what like the direction of the lesson. I think is really good. She knew the strong students and the weaker students in the class, which is obviously important, knowing your class and having a relationship with them. Especially, I think when you're online, it's like really difficult to know that. Because there's a distance and everything like that. So I think being aware of who the good, like not the good students, the strong students and the less strong students. And then while she was doing the like the reading activity, she would underline the words that were trouble. I thought that was good, so that they could identify like the places that they were struggling, and to go back or like making a note for herself, like, okay, hey, this student struggled with this particular word, so this is a word we can focus on in the future, like this sound, this blending, whatever needs to be addressed. She has an idea as to where specifically the students are struggling. I did say there was a part where I can't remember exactly which word it was, but even the student who came in to help kind of still struggled with the word. And so it's like, you don't want to discourage the students and say like, oh, you're wrong and you're wrong and you're wrong. But at the same time, like, you do want to make sure that like, oh, this student's coming to help. It's like, oh, yeah, the student got it wrong too. So that's maybe a part where the teacher wants to step in and be like, hey, you also got this word wrong. And so like, but trying to find a way, I think, a balance between like figuring out like how to do that without discouraging the whole class. Like, oh wow, this word's really hard, I don't speak English. That you have to kind of find a balance there, which I think can be kind of difficult. She said that she should have put when she was trying to find, like, it was like first there was this, then there was this. I thought she mentioned that she should have put those side by side, which I thought was right. And yeah, I think you made the point that she like corrected a lot of the mistakes, but it's like, ideally, you would find that those mistakes before rather than like after the fact. But again, I guess as teachers, we have to be willing to make mistakes and understand our mistakes. So she was definitely willing to do that, which I think is good. And then let's see, yeah, she gave all of the students a chance to read, and the higher level students, she just gave them like a short, like a sentence or like a small passage or whatever. But I do think it's important to keep all of the students engaged, even those that, she already know how to read and can do well, still giving those students a chance. Yeah, and then let's see here. The end, I guess the ending was kind of abrupt, and I know that like you have to cut off a video somewhere, but it was just kind of like suddenly like, all right, class is over, like we're done. And it was just like, okay, I was expecting
Yeah, I saw that too.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then suddenly it was just like, all right, goodbye. And it was like there was no exit ticket, which I think is an important thing to do. It was just sort of like, all right, and goodbye. And then that was it. So other than that, yeah, I thought it was I agree with you that the first video was like really organized. It seemed like the teacher was really engaged with their students. There was a lot of talking in the second video too, whereas like that's a part where I think maybe I would have muted everybody, just to make sure that everybody's paying attention. And then like, okay, if anybody wants to say something now you can, but there was a lot of like kind of talking over the teacher. And when you're in an online classroom, you can definitely just stop that. And in a live classroom, it's definitely not so easy to do that, of course. But yeah, that was kind of my thoughts. So yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Good.
Good. Okay.